Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. So I couldn't control myself, and we're gonna be adding details because I felt like this was it's looking so good, and it would be way better if we just had one little extra touch on the cinematic end, right? So one of the biggest movies in regards to scary stuff is of course It. You hopefully saw the remake, or if you saw the original miniseries back in the 90s, then you'd remember this super creepy clown, and one of the signature things about the clown was of course a red balloon. So I thought it would be quite easy to do a red balloon. So let's do it. I'm actually gonna do it real quick for you guys, and I'm gonna do it here on the scene. Normally I would do this as a separate scene, but it's super easy. We're just gonna grab a sphere like this. I'm gonna grab the lowest vertice. I'm gonna press B, which is soft selection, and then B and middle mouse click and drag to create this thing. Which, by the way, I'm not sure why this Karnak thing is now turned on. There we go. And now we can just push this thing down, as you can see right there, and then that's just gonna give us this sort of like a balloony shape. Now I'm gonna make this thing a little bit thinner because balloons tend to like thin out a little bit like this. And if you want to be like super perfect about this, we can just like delete a couple of these edges to make sure that we get this very nice like elongated effect. Now for the little like thingy that it has right here, I'm just gonna use a cone. I'm gonna V to snap the cone right there. Make this thing bigger. And the cone, it's a really weird shape because it has an end gun right here, which we don't want. And then I'm gonna use my cut tool to cut the tip out. So just cut the tip like this. Don't worry, if you don't feel so confident in modeling, I'll share this model with you as well. Control E to extrude this. And we're just gonna extrude this so we smooth this out. And then usually there's like a little bit of an extra border here on the edge, like this. And that's it. Now you might say, do we really need to model all of this? Nah, we could keep it really simple, but I think it's one of those things that really adds. Now to give this thing a little bit more naturality, I'm gonna use again soft selection, and with a small like element here, I'm just gonna switch this around. There we go. Now of course make this smaller so that it matches the proper, like, what you would expect from a proper size. Let's give it a little bit of a switch there. Remember that one of the most like common things with 3D is that it's too perfect. So by making it not as perfect, like slightly skewed and stuff, that's what's gonna give it the look that we're going for. So let's bring this to the center. Well, let's combine this into a single object. Scale it down a little bit, and it's gonna be right there, floating on the center of the stage, right? Super creepy. Now I do want to add a chord to it that's like resting on the ground. So to do this, I'm gonna isolate this. I'm gonna go to the front view, and I'm gonna go to create curve tools, EP curve. I'm just gonna start right there, and I'm just gonna start clicking a couple of times until we go there on the ground, and then a couple more. Now I know I can't see it because it's isolated. It's right there, as you can see. And now again, just to give this thing a little bit more of a believability, let's just play around with how we would expect the gravity to fall and to like get this chord on the ground. So all of this chordy thing would be on the ground like this. It should look like it's actually like hanging. Let's go to the right view, because as you can see, it's really flat. So on the right view, we're of course gonna move the chord back to the balloon like this, and we can play around with the perspective on the right view as well. I know this is not like a modeling class, but hopefully you understand that adding this sort of like little details that's what it's gonna make our compositions even better. There we go. So now, if we grab the chord, well, it's way too thin. I thought it was going to be longer. That's fine. We'll just scale it a little bit. Actually, it seems like it's fine. Okay, let's just bring this down so that it touches the floor. I'm gonna rotate the chord a little bit. And then I'm gonna go into the control vertices again, and this one's we're just gonna push them up a little bit like this. Maybe this one of them can go up. Again, it should look kind of like relaxed, right? Let's go to the object mode. Move this. I'm gonna freeze the transformations. I can move this back like this. And into the balloon. There we go. Now we're gonna use this tool, which is called the sweep mesh. You can also find it here on create sweep mesh. And it's pretty much just gonna like create a chord. That's pretty much it. I'm just gonna reduce the size of the chord. And that's it. We have a very nice effect. I'm gonna save real quick. This guy, I'm gonna add a new material, Arnold, to the surface. Let's call this a red balloon. On the color of the object is gonna be red. I actually gonna make this metallic, like sort of metallic-y, a metallic balloon. And I'm gonna increase the roughness. And for the chord, it's gonna just be a white chord, so just Arnold, to the surface. And just increase the roughness because it's supposed to be a rough material. Let's call this M chord. Again, we save real quick. We go here and we're gonna say render update full scene. So it loads the new materials and it loads the new models. And look at that. Nice, 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 nice. I think the metallic effect is a little bit too much. So I'm gonna stop it. Let's go, let's delete history here. And we're gonna bring the metalness down, so it's a plastic balloon. I'm kind of wondering if we want to add a little bit of like surface effect, or maybe like transmission, like a little bit of transmission. Like if we add a little bit of transmission, we might be able to kind of like see through the balloon, so it's more like a thin plastic. I think that could work. I'm definitely going to change the color of the transmission to red so we can kind of see through it. And there we go. Now, again, talking about a composition, we need to make sure that we understand, or we position this balloon in the most like creepy possible way. We're going for a very symmetrical composition. Now, if this is a shadow and we want to kind of imply that this shadow is the clown, it would be cool if it looks like the shadow is actually like holding the balloon, right? So I'm gonna grab the balloon and the chord, and let's bring this thing towards this side. Again, it's to kind of imply that he's holding the balloon, right? I kind of want the balloon to be out of the light. So like this. Now the chord, of course, we need to scale it a little bit so that it matches the new scale. So right about there. The chord is going to be important, as you can see, because it's going to tell us how the balloon is attached. I do think the chord's a little bit too thick still, and the cool thing is we still have the node right here, so I'm gonna go half this, so 0.1. It's gonna be like a really, really, really thin chord. It's just gonna like barely bounce some of the light around, so we can kind of see it there. Even that one seems to be a little bit too thin, so let's go 0.05. I just want like a super, super thin thread like floating around. That's also gonna give it this very, very creepy vibe, right? Because we're barely seeing the thread that's holding it. And now, again, to imply that this shadow is holding it subconscious, well, not subconscious, like with telekinesis or something, what we can do is we can add like a cylinder, right? Or like a box or something. So it doesn't really matter which shape we grab. But if we make this like an elongated shape right here, and we bring it to the side right there, now it's gonna look like he's holding it, right? And you're not really gonna see it because of course he's not holding it, but it's just implied that he is. Now here's where I want to try and do something interesting. And again, there's a famous quote that says the devil is on the details, right? So, well, first of all, let me lower this thing right here, because it was looking a little bit weird. So it says, there's a very famous quote, I repeat, that says the devil is on the details. So I kind of want to see the shiny, creepy eyes of the character. Even though, again, this is going to break the the physicality of things. But if I were to delete these faces right here, technically, if things work the way I'm expecting them to work, we're gonna see 2 holes on the shadow that are gonna read like, or could read like eyes, right? I don't want to have 2 more spotlights there or 2 little lights, but just that little effect right there, I think works quite nice. It might be very subtle, but I think it's there. I think it's there, and it looks interesting. I do want to grab like some of these vertices right here, like scale them out maybe. I mean, now that we're going for this sort of like it vibe, might as well go full full crazy clown right here, right? So there we go. We've managed to create this very interesting effect where we have the shadow. I think the shadow's a little bit too big though. I don't know. I have to find the perfect balance. There we go. I think that looks a little bit better. So there's this secret. Now I'm actually thinking about like, yeah, I like that thing, but let's hide it a little bit more. Because it's too on your face, right? So if we hide it a little bit more, we might be able to create this sort of like mystery effect. And these are the decisions that you're constantly going to be taking whenever you're working on a project or on a scene, especially when you get the artistic liberty to explore this kind of stuff. It's really cool because you're able to think about all of the different things that can be done and create amazing compositions like this one. So now the final thing that we need to do is we need to go, of course, to common. We need to set this to full HD. We're going to turn on our denoiser. So denoiser optics is going to turn on. And I do want to turn on my lens effects. We've used this ones before. I don't think we want to do any sort of depth of field in this one. I think we want everything to be in focus. But we definitely want a little bit of vignette and a little bit of this thing right here. So let's render real quick. Oh my God, look at that. Not that much vignette. Stop it and give it another go. There we go. Just a little bit of vignette. And as you can see, I mean, right now, all of these fireflies are glowing thanks to the bloom. But as soon as the denoiser kicks in, most of them are going to be gone. And we should only get a little bit of glow on the stairs, on the balloon, and on other different parts. So yeah, there we go. See how all of the fireflies get cleaned up? That's what we're going for. Look at that shadows, looking really good. It's definitely going to take a while. As you can see, scenes are getting more complex and more complex. Even though I have a powerful system, still gonna take some time. So just be patient, make sure everything is set up the way you want. Be patient, and yeah, I'm gonna wait for the render to finish, and we'll see the result of the whole thing, or we'll do a little bit of post-production in the next video. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye bye.